I'm Dr. Jack Stoltzfus, and I'm going to teach you a way to manage your anxiety and prevent ever having panic attacks in about 5 minutes. So, the starting point is really one of mindset, and it's really important that you begin with the mindset that I'm going to manage my mood state, and I'm not going to be a victim of my mood state, whether it's anxiety or depression or whatever. So, that's the starting point. But then, just a little background to understand what's going on with anxiety. When we have anxiety, typically it's triggered in our amygdala, the part of our brain where we're thinking about either fight or flight or freeze. And that sends a message to our adrenal glands, which shoots out adrenaline and cortisol. And the impact of that is to get ready to fight or run or freeze. And we end up starting to get tension, and our muscles tighten up, our veins constrict, we start breathing in a shallow way, we feel tension in our shoulders. And the more that happens, the more we get this kind of closed feedback loop that's telling our brain, yes, I am anxious, I can feel it. And then we feel more anxious. We actually keep it going through that kind of closed feedback loop. Well, the process I'm going to teach you is to kind of re-engineer that. In other words, we're going to go and we're going to figure out how to get us back to a place of normal breathing. So we're going to intervene at the physiological level. We're going to take over the breathing process from our autonomic system and manage it ourselves for a while. And what that does is brings us back down to normal breathing. We typically breathe between 12 and 20 times a minute. So when we're really tense, it's getting up there, much closer to 20, if not more times a minute. And we're doing the shallow breathing. So the intervention that we're going to do is to change our breathing by focusing on a count of 3 in, 2, 3 breathing, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out. About that speed. Why don't you try that out? Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you do that, you're beginning to kind of send the message up to the amygdala, hey, chill out, nothing to worry about down here. I got this under control. And your breathing is starting to send a different message back to the amygdala that things are calming down. The other thing that happens is that when you activate the prefrontal cortex of your brain with the counting, because you have to use this part of your brain to count, it shuts down the door to the amygdala. Both doors can't be open at the same time. And you've probably heard the expression, if you're really angry, count to 10. Well, there's some science behind that, because when you're counting, you can't be raging. If all you're doing is raging, you can't have this part of your brain open. But when you open this part of your brain and you're counting, it starts to shut down the amygdala. So that's the concept behind it. We're going to intervene, manage our physiology, and then block the amygdala by our counting process. So how do you get good at this? You need to develop a habit of doing this. And I would say practicing 30, 40, 50 times a day, times when you might be anxious, times when you're not, because you want to get an understanding and a sense of what it feels like to breathe normally, because that's what you're going to have to do to intervene. And once you breathe normally, you'll never have a panic attack. It's impossible to have a panic attack when you're breathing normally. But to get that habit down, you have 3 things you have to do. Focus on the behavior you want to change. Practice, 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 lots of times during the day. And then write down or tell a friend or somebody in your family how it's working for you. Because we're trying to develop a neural pathway in the brain that correlates with this physical habit. And when we do that, those are the 3 things that seem to create the neural pathway in the brain. Focus, practice, and what's called attention density, or repeating, writing down, talking about, the success of that. Just think about it. If the more you tell yourself you're successful about something or tell somebody else the more you're likely to reinforce that habit. So that's it. And it's going to work 90% of the time. Nothing works 100% of the time. If you want to do more, want to look into some more on breathing, this is called The Breathing Cure by Patrick McKeown. That's pretty good if you want to do a deep dive in breathing. Otherwise, stay tuned for 2.0 when things are not working with the breathing, other techniques to address the anxiety.